When my son was 5, we lived in Canada, and it was raining, like it is right now. And he was outside. He was so cute. He was wearing his yellow fireman raincoat with the buckles. You know the buckles? The closing, they're buckles, right? The little things that close it shut. And he had his rubber boots on, and he had a garden hose he was spraying in the air. And he was in, I think he was 5, so he might have been 4, because he wasn't in school yet. And the other kids were coming home from school. It was like 2:30 in the afternoon. And my mom was visiting. And just look what I'm doing, right? It's raining right now. And so he's out there, and he's having so much fun. And my mom just is in love with him. It's her favorite. It is. I mean, he was her first grandchild, and he was the perfect kid, you know. He never cried. He never was a bad boy. He was just a sweet, gentle, quiet little boy. And I think he had brand new, I think what it was is she had bought him the raincoat and the new rubber boots, right? So he just came into his mind. He went to get the fire hose, and he had a little fire hat on too. Little red fire hat. And he was out there spraying in the air, and these big kids, and they weren't that much older. They were, you know, probably in, I don't know, grade 3, or they weren't too much older than him. And they went by and they started making fun of him for doing what he was doing. They're like, oh yeah, fireman and whatever, you know, just, what are you doing with the, you know, whatever. I don't know what they were saying. And my mom was watching him from the window because he was her little precious, right? She loved him so much. And she saw him, and she saw those boys doing that, and they didn't stop. They were, I mean, it didn't last for very long, I gotta tell you. My mom's a lot like me. I'm a lot like my mom. And she ran outside onto the front porch, just like right here. And he was probably like where the palm tree is over there. And the kids were like walking along there, right? Pretty close to him. And there was a whole group of them, you know, mob mentality, making fun of him. And she said, what's wrong with you? Haven't you ever seen a fireman before? And then I'm like, Mom, they're just little kids. She goes, I don't care, they're bullies. They're bullies. And so I watched this video on Facebook a while back, and it was just like one of those little clips. And somebody was making fun of this woman, or this guy, I think it was a guy. He was washing his truck in the rain. And they're like, okay, dude, like, seriously, why would you wash your truck in the rain? And I thought, why wouldn't you? It's free water, right? It's raining anyway. And my landlord, I said, God, I gotta wash my truck. He goes, what's the point? It's just gonna rain, right? And I said, because it's covered in dirt and it's gross and I can't stand things that are dirty. And so I thought, I looked outside, I came out here, put little Sammy's little basket. He likes to come out in the rain. And I said, I'm gonna wash my freaking car. I'm gonna wash it. I'm gonna use the rain. It's already there to wash away what I don't need. And that's a message actually for all of us. This vehicle is me, E.T. Angel. This is me, right? This vehicle suits me. It's my personality. And I always use the elements, you know, you use the elements. Okay, it's raining. So what do you do with the rain? Well, I imagine that I am washing off anything that is gunky, dirty, doesn't work for me, makes me feel uncomfortable, whether they be feelings, attitudes, people, situations, right? I'm using the rain purposefully. And now it's not raining very heavily right now. It's raining just enough. It's just kind of sprinkling, but it's steady. So it's kind of like us when we try to release something, or that's our intention, is to release. But there's many years of it, and it's gonna take a while. So we do it a little bit at a time. So I'm sitting here thinking, here I am, I'm connecting with my vehicle that's covered in a thin layer of debris or dust, right? Which is toxic energy for me. And I'm using the rain that's already here. So use the emotions, your tears, whatever it is. If you're feeling sad, if you're feeling stressed out, use those emotions to cleanse and remove what doesn't work for you. I'm using the raindrops, and when it starts to rain again in a few minutes, because it will, It's gonna start raining again. All that I've loosened up here will be rinsed off. I haven't wasted any water. My truck's not gonna be a filthy mess. No, there might be rain spots, you know, on it like everybody else has, but I'm not gonna have dirt all over it. I think it's pretty smart. And what better way to practice being a fireman than to be outside with your fire hat, your raincoat, your boots, and shooting the fire hose in the air. I think it made perfect sense. I'd like to know where those little boys are in life right now, because my son owns his own business and is incredibly successful. So sometimes you do things people think is crazy, right? Sometimes you make a choice, or the actions, they look at your actions and they wonder, why are you doing that? That's really weird. I don't think it's weird for me right now. All the dirt, I've already done this back and I'm doing it again, right? It's taken care of, not to mention I'm outside, I'm moving around. I'm killing 4 things with one stone. What are the 4 things that I'm killing? Lethargy, or however you want to say it, right? I'm clearing the cobwebs in my head. I'm cleaning my vehicle, and I'm energetically removing what I don't like from my vehicle so that I can move forward unencumbered, feeling good about myself, feeling good about my vehicle. I don't feel good being in a vehicle that's a mess, that's dirty. If anything that we have, if our suite, our home, our carpet, our car, anything that we have of ours, if it's messy or dirty, so is our energy. So is our thought process. Not to mention, whatever I'm out here doing, this is what they call mindless work, right? Doesn't require a lot of thinking to do this. But while you're out here, you are thinking. That's why I went and got my phone. I thought, this is smart, you know? I come up with epiphanies, I come up with all kinds of ideas. And there's too many times that somebody will have an idea for something and somebody else will think it's stupid. Like I was just talking to one of my clients. Thank you, here it comes now. So it's gonna rinse off what I wiped down, what I loosened up, right? I'm loosening up my joints. I'm going back up and down, right? I'm squatting down. This is exercise. My arms are moving. My body is feeling frumpy. It's feeling like it wants exercise. It wants to be outside. I'm always outside in the rain. I'm not stopped by this. So I'm thinking about my client this morning. He's quite successful and he makes quite a bit of money. But I have kept getting for him that he's gonna be working for himself. He's far too talented and has too many ideas, and he's driven. And it's funny because I just felt that about him, and he says to me, it's interesting, he goes, I have had a plan. And I said, you know, I've always seen you working for yourself, not for somebody else. And I said, I'm not quite sure. I know you make quite a bit of money where you're at, but it's boring to him. And I said, I see you following your dream. You had a dream at one time, and it might not make you as much money as what you're doing right now. But you're gonna work for yourself, not for somebody else. You don't have to ask their permission if you want time off or if you wanna do things in a different order or whatever. There's a dream that you had. Do you remember it? Because other people might think you're nuts to give up that high-paying job in order to do what you're doing. I talk about that. You know, I gave up my job. I made a lot of money at my job. It was a secure job. And I gave it up. And it's been really hard for me for the last easily 10 years. Very hard, right? But I've been, I think about what's been difficult. A lot of times we make it difficult ourselves by the way we're thinking about things or by what we're expecting. Now, I've struggled financially, for sure. But it's all coming, and it's all in the attitude. And, you know, when you're building a business of your own, it takes a little while. You're not going to be you're not going to be well known. You're not going to have a track record. You have to have something to show, right? And I think to myself, I don't have to get up and be at a place of business. I don't have to wear what they want me to wear. I don't have to be at a place that I'm not allowed to talk about what matters to me. I was literally told by my boss, who's a super cool guy, he's a great guy, but he's Christian and he doesn't believe in what I do. He said I wasn't allowed to talk about my spiritual work if I worked for him. And I thought, well, that doesn't work for me. So I was telling this to my client and I said, I see you moving away from that high-paying job And at first, you're probably not gonna make as much as you're making right now. But eventually you are going to. You're going to surpass it. You're going to be amazing because I see it. I see it because when we follow our dream and we go after our dream, we're not worried what everybody else thinks. Spirit wants us to follow our dream. That's why we came here. We didn't come here to fulfill somebody else's dream. We came here to fulfill our dream. And if our dream sounds ridiculous or outlandish, it doesn't really matter. It shouldn't matter because that's our path. And that's my 2 cents for the day. Go fulfill your dream. Whether your family thinks you're a nut or not, you eventually will have everything that you've desired and what you need. Spirit will see to it because when we follow our dream, we're following our soul's path. And we are meant to follow our soul's path. So if we're doing that, we will be successful in all the ways that matter most.